All right, should I call it to order? Funding hearing for October 7th, 2020 to order. It's 6:32, and when Trustee McKenzie joins us, we'll just continue.
Oh, there she is.
Sorry about that.
There you go, Dave. You should be able to unmute yourself.
I don't know why I did that, but yeah. Hi, Claire.
Hi, sorry about that, guys. I lost all track of time.
Okay.
Here you go. Now everyone should be able to unmute yourself. Okay.
Well, I would say that we should nominate someone to run the meeting tonight. So I would nominate Susan to run the meeting.
Oh, I was just going to nominate you, Dave.
Yeah, I'd nominate Susan. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Okay. We begin this agency funding hearing meeting tonight. We have one. Oh, yes. Can we please take roll? Is Pete on here?
Who?
Roll call?
No, it's Viesha.
Viesha.
Who
Okay,
seconded? Who seconded?
I did. Claire did.
Who?
Claire.
Thank you. I can't see everything. Okay. Trustee Carabota,
Yes, here.
I'm calling the roll.
Okay, here.
No, it's not here. We're doing the chairman first.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay, yes. Okay, Trustee McKenzie?
Here.
No, yes.
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Who's on first?
Trustee Jones?
I
think she froze.
Yes.
Yes.
No, I
Okay, Trustee
Yes.
Sweeney?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we begin this evening and we are welcomed by, let's see, we're going to have 9 different agencies presenting this evening. And we're going to begin with the Jocelyn Center and take it away. Who do we have joining us from the Jocelyn Center this evening?
Do we want to do the pledge and the roll call and public?
Oh, I apologize. I'm
Yeah.
failing.
We need to do the pledge.
We didn't do roll call first, and then we'll do the pledge.
Okay. So again, Trustee McKenzie?
Here.
Trustee Sweeney?
Here.
Trustee Jones?
here.
Trustee Carabota?
Here.
Okay.
Okay.
Others, we have Richard Lyon. Oh, we don't do anything about the people? Okay, fine. Okay.
Well, you can
do we do the
introduce
pledge
the
now?
people that we have.
Yeah, we do
It's fine.
we do the pledge.
Of course. We
Okay.
have Richard, yes, we have Richard Lyon, Austin Kelso, Bran Kamekic, Mori Dachnivsky, and Dana Berman.
And thank you for being here.
Okay. Thank you. Can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Do we have the pledge? Viesha, do you have a flag?
I
Got a
do,
flag
but
All right,
flag.
Dave. Way to go.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Okay, thank you. We'll begin tonight with our first agency that we're hearing from, and that is the Jocelyn Center.
We have Susan Resco
We have
and
Susan? Okay, Susan Resco
Michael Scholl presenting from Jocelyn.
and Michael.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you for having us. I'm Susan Resco, and joining me is Michael Scholl, our VP of Behavioral Health. And just to give you a quick recap of our relationship, it's been 5 years now that we've provided a partnership with the Maine Township as a result of the Maine Center closing. And we have been providing psychiatric services and case management since then. And it's been our real honor and privilege to do that. Since 2016, when we first started, the number of people we are serving has grown tremendously. So the first year we started, we served 69 Maine Township residents, and now we're serving 209. And so what we are doing specifically is providing outpatient psychiatric services. So the Youth and Family Services has for a long time done really great therapy and counseling, but often people need medication to assist with their therapy. And so that's where we step in. During COVID, not only have we switched to telepsychiatry, but our numbers have increased. So while Mike and I both can say that we know COVID all too well, we both suffered from the disease very early on. What we can say is that there's a lot of silver linings that have come out of the pandemic for our particular service. Namely that we serve low income and people who are challenged with transportation issues, with childcare issues. And so oftentimes we have a very high no-show rate where people have an appointment, but they just can't get into the office. As a result of moving to telepsychiatry, that no-show rate has almost diminished entirely. And not only are we seeing a lot more people coming to us because they are feeling anxious or isolated or depressed, but they're able to see us in a way that accommodates transportation and childcare issues. So that is one thing that we've learned, or hopefully society and insurance companies have learned, that providing teletherapy really benefits the low income the most of any segment of the population. So what we have an advanced practice nurse that prescribes medicine, and the other thing that has been a benefit to the township, I believe, is the fact that we are doing all the case management in-house. So it doesn't require Maine Township staff to check in people, to bring them to the office. That's all being done via Zoom. So not only are we able to pivot and provide the service during the pandemic, but we're seeing more people being served because they don't have transportation issues. And then finally, there are more people that are requesting these services because of the need, because they're losing jobs. A lot of our new clients are new Medicaid recipients. They have been functioning, employed, and have, insured people, and they're now faced with the devastating challenge of losing their job, losing their insurance, not being able to provide for their family. And one can only imagine that trauma and that stress that that somebody would feel. So we are there to help. Our counselors and our doctors have never been busier. So I just want to say thank you. And our partnership has never been stronger, and we really very much appreciate your support. And I'll just throw it out to questions, and Mike can answer any specific clinical questions that you might have.
Thank you, Susan. Just a couple comments that I wanted to ask, and then I'll and open it up. Did you, it says, that so you have to raise $129 for each Medicaid patient, right? And first, can you comment on how many, when you say you have now 209, but that's gone up since COVID, what's the increase been?
Well, 209 was as of the end of August. We're seeing a little bit of an uptake. I don't know what the new number is since August, but that was the last count. But the challenge is for the service we're providing, Maine Township, is psychiatric services. And Medicaid grossly underfunds this particular service.
Yes.
So that's why we count on your support to provide the difference.
So does it cost you actually more than 129 and you have to raise an additional 129 per person, or is that the actual, is that what the average cost is per Medicaid patient?
That's the amount that we have to raise.
Okay, so that's,
So Medicaid pays us about, Medicaid pays us a little over $100 an hour for a doctor. But as you know, most doctors cost a lot more than that. And so that's the difference that we have to raise. And that's what Maine Township has been providing.
okay.
Yes, except that we're seeing double or triple the number of clients that we have seen in the past 5 years.
Triple them, okay. And then do you intend to still get that, I know the AmeriCorps grant, how much was that? Because I noticed that you said that was like for 1 year, but I didn't see it on your financials. Is that a big grant that you expect
So
to get every?
Yeah. Well, we hope to. The AmeriCorps grant is for youth mental health first aid, which is an educational program that we're talking to Richard about providing to township residents.
Yeah, I thought that was a great idea that you're going to bring that online.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. It's been very popular, so.
And when is that going to start up, the first aid one, the webinar that you're planning to put for the residents?
Well, I think
is that going to go on our township website?
Yes, the first series for Maine Township is November 17th. But Richard thinks that there will be a lot more interest than that first wave. So we will do as many as there's interest.
That's great. And then will it be accessible on our website for the webinars, or is it on Jocelyn's site?
Yeah, no, it'll be through ours. It'll be like a webinar that we typically do for community members.
Okay.
I had a meeting yesterday about it, and we kind of worked out some details to start with adults and then move on to the youth mental health first aid sometime next year, and then potentially teen mental health first aid, which is actually designed for teens to be able to help other teens that are struggling and to recognize the signs of mental health crisis going on among their friends. So yeah, Jocelyn had reached out and we talked about partnering together for that, and that's not going to cost us anything to do that. So we're really happy to partner with them to offer that to the community here.
That's great. Great ideas. Any questions for any of the other? Dana?
Well, Susan, I did hear that you and Mike were ill early on. So I hope that you're both doing better, and we're glad to see you here. Also, I'm glad that we're able to continue our relationship with you during this pandemic, which doesn't seem like it's going to be ending soon. Glad that we can continue our psychiatry relationship with you and do everything through telehealth. I keep telling Richard, I don't know what we would do without these computers. Or if this was 20, 30 years ago, I don't know. But I do have one question on your budget. Under expenses, you have a line item and it's just labeled other, but it is for a significant amount for $621,000. Can you just clarify what that is?
Sure. I can get you a revised budget. What we did in best practices for accounting measures is we in previous years, we were netting out our insurance fees and then the allowance for doubtful accounts in our revenue line item. We broke it down into expense, and so the vast majority of that is allowance for doubtful accounts for the client insurance fees of $3 million. So you'll see the $3 million number compared to previous years is almost, not quite, but almost double what it was. And then that other is allowance for doubtful accounts. It also includes things like marketing, maintenance, things like that. But the vast majority, over 450,000 of that, is allowance for doubtful accounts for insurance
Okay,
fees.
so you don't separate out those line items, you lump it into one line item just called other, or?
No, we do actually, and you, unfortunately, you don't have the most updated version, so I will get that to you.
Okay, thank you. That's my only question.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to,
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to echo Dana's sentiment that, boy, you guys really saved us 5 years ago when we decided to partner, and it's been a wonderful partnership. And so I know we all appreciate it, our residents appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to continue it. And I hope you guys are feeling better.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
Mhm.
Dave?
I just want to say it's over the past year working with Dr. Frick, it's been really amazing. She's everything that you promised she would be and more. Super smart, really compassionate and kind, and super organized and on the ball with working with her patients. So we really couldn't be happier with her, and we've got nothing but positive feedback from everyone she's worked with. So it's working out tremendously.
Great.
Thank you.
Trustee Carabota, did you have something?
Yeah, I had questions about that 621,000, but I think we're going to get answers for that. And I very much appreciate that, Susan. Also, your fundraising efforts. I see, of course, that the fall benefit couldn't go ahead. Can you go into what efforts you're able to do for fundraising, for independent fundraising? So I do note that you have. I do notice that for salaries and consultants, you have about $3,600,000 out of your budget, which is 5.3. So that's got to require some fundraising too, right? So I was wondering what do you anticipate for fundraising?
Sure. So we have lost almost 300,000 in combined fundraisers this year as a result of the pandemic. We had 2 virtual events earlier this year, and next week we're rolling out an email series where we're doing a series of videos and asking people that came to our signature event, which is in the fall, to give at the same level. We've also been able to supplement our income with some COVID grants because we are first responders and frontline workers. We've been very successful in getting those grants. And the salaries and consultants is primarily, as a service provider, that's what we do. We're a people business. So the client insurance fees have been going up significantly over the past few years. We're working on, collecting more money and, providing our clinicians with technology so that they can be more efficient. So we are confident that we will make up the difference through a combination of COVID-related grants and non-traditional fundraising through good old-fashioned phone calls and email.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we appreciate Susan and Mike. Thank you. And for everything you've done for us for the past year and for what you will be doing for us this coming year. And I think we'll move on to Northwest Suburban Daycare now. And we've got Debbie and Kate, is that right?
Debbie Payne will be presenting tonight.
Okay, Debbie?
Good evening. I am Debbie Payne, and I am the program director and lead teacher at the Northwest Suburban Daycare Center. Tonight, I am here with Kate Uechi here at our daycare center, so you get a little peek of our school. She is here with me. She is the executive director. She is in her office on a computer that does not have a camera, but she is here to answer questions also. First off, I would like to thank Maine Township for the continued support of our program, as well as all of you for your time this evening. We would also like to extend an added thank you for the 10% COVID supplement we received in May. That was a fabulous surprise. So thank you.
Well, we're also working on another 5% that we've already just passed, and we're looking at another 5% at the next meeting. Hopefully, the board's been working quite hard to adjust budget issues. So overall, you'll be getting another, with God's grace, another 10%.
Wow, that is tremendous. Thank you. Thank you. The Northwest Suburban Daycare was established in 1970 to provide high-quality, affordable childcare to parents with low income. Thankfully, we are still housed rent-free in the Cambodian Buddhist temple. We care for children ages 15 months to 5 years. We're open 52 weeks a year, Monday through Friday, for 10 hours a day. Our curriculum provides each child with the building blocks needed for kindergarten readiness. And we believe that open-ended, play-based learning allows for hands-on experiences, creative expression, and a firm foundation for success. Like most of the state, our program was closed in mid-March due to COVID-19 pandemic. After countless hours of research on health and safety guidelines, PPE purchasing, and staff meetings, we reopened our doors on June 15th. The returning families slowly trickled back in, and we are now serving 21 children, of which 77% are Maine Township residents. And yes, all of our staff and children wear masks all day. They do get to take them off when they eat, nap, or play outside. And we are so proud of our little heroes protecting themselves and each other. While we still have 19 families on our waiting list, we will maintain our current enrollment for 2 reasons. First, the extra health and safety procedures we have enacted due to COVID-19, specifically optimizing social distancing and extra cleaning and disinfecting throughout the day. Some of the added tasks include having the children one by one take off their masks, store them, and then put them back on at 3 separate meal times, setting up tabletop sneeze guards at every meal, and placing cot dividers at every nap time. So our daily schedule has definitely been altered to accommodate these necessary changes. Second, we are preparing for any partial program closures should a child or staff member test positive. With fewer children, we could close part of the center as opposed to closing the entire program. A recent scare has opened our eyes to the challenges this winter could bring. Currently, all of our families enrolled are single mothers, and 1 single father who happens to be a former student. He also joined our board of directors as a parent representative. Over the past year, we provided full-time childcare to 22 Maine Township children, which is down from last year's 28, simply due to the fact that we had a low turnover rate of families. Both years, 74% of the total families served for Maine Township residents. Our parents need to be working or going to school full-time in order to qualify for the subsidy program. Currently, the state's income allowance is 200% below the federal poverty level. On average, our parents earn $11.50 an hour, or just under $24,000 a year. These are truly the working poor of our community. But with the help of the Child Care Subsidy Program, the average tuition for these parents is only $25 per week. As you probably saw in our budget, we were awarded a child care restoration grant from the state of Illinois through the CARES Act. This money was intended to support the economic health of child care providers. The original award was just over $60,000, but as of today, only $50,000 has been guaranteed. With the added costs for PPE, safety equipment, and a full staff of 8, our expenses have and will continue to increase. And of course, we have no idea how our funding will hold up during this pandemic. So this grant will serve its purpose. Our main goal is to keep our doors open for the families we serve and to keep everyone in the program healthy and safe. So we are proud that we have maintained a solid partnership with Maine Township for over 40 years. So on behalf of the parents, our staff, and most importantly, the children, we thank you for our long-standing support of our program. Now, Kate and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you, Debbie. Just clarification from something you said. Did you say the average is $25 a week?
Yes, I believe it.
Private tuition rate is like 250, 205 to 290, right?
Yes.
What percentage of your people? So that's quite a bit. That's fantastic. You know, for those people that need it so desperately.
That's right.
You know, that are the low income, and just amazing work that you do to have all these kids at that price that, you know, that works out. Do that. What percentage of kids are, I know you said 77% are Maine Township residents. What percentage are private versus?
Right now, we do not have any private. They're all on the subsidy program.
Oh, okay. So are you at capacity with 21 children then?
No, right now, 24 children would be the contract that we have now for the state, for the subsidized childcare.
Okay, are there not any private or other subsidized that would want to?
We fill the subsidized spots first. So that would be 24.
Okay, so you're not at full capacity.
Right, for the subsidized at this point, right. And as I said, we do have a waiting list, but right now we are not in any hurry because of these two main reasons with the pandemic to bring in children right now, to raise our amounts.
Okay, so you're not at capacity, but you have a wait list.
We do.
Sorry, this is Kate.
Go ahead, Kate.
So Debbie mentioned in the speech that because of the new health and safety guidelines that we've enacted, we're trying to keep our enrollment manageable.
Right.
And so right now 21 has been manageable, but also in case we do have to do a closure, we wouldn't be able to do a partial closure if we had more than 21 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we would lose a lot of, chances are we would lose several staff members. So we're just trying to keep it so we can manage both day-to-day services along with the possibility of having to close or partially close.
Do I have a chance to?
Trustee Carabota?
Yeah, I want to also say that you do fantastic work, and you do it, which should be noted, with an executive director salary, which is $58,000, and you have a part-time program director, $31,000, teacher assistant, $31,000, the cook's getting 28,000 and the teacher's getting 28,000. Those salaries are extremely fair. I could see here how you are very much watching the dollar, and that the dollar goes all into the children, which is fantastic. And I wish you to keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions?
that would be.
No? Okay, Debbie. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We have the Center for Enriched Living, and do we have Karen with us today?
Karen,
Karen.
I'm here.
Hi, Karen.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
Hi,
Karen.
you?
So
How are
again,
you?
I'm doing great. I feel like it's a little bit different how we're seeing each other this year. So again, my name is Karen Fan. I'm the grants manager for the Center for Enriched Living, or CEL is how we are also known. CEL has been providing programming for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities for over 50 years. So my plan tonight is to share about CEL's program, how Maine Township has been helping us over the last year and through COVID. And then I just wanted to talk a little bit more about how we have changed our programming to address the needs of our members. So CEL is a non-residential life enrichment center offering in-person and virtual programs 7 days a week. Our mission is to address the 3 largest obstacles that our members are facing. The first is to reduce social isolation and loneliness, and I think we can all appreciate what that means during the pandemic. We have day, afternoon, evening, and weekend programs and classes available. The second obstacle is to address post-high school learning and growth. We have a Reach Adult Day program, which is for those 22 years and older. Right now, that is offered virtually and also in person. The third obstacle our programming addresses is to reduce the 85% unemployment rate for our members. We have an employment opportunities program, which provides hands-on skills through classes in our career academy, and also partners with local businesses to provide part-time and full-time employment. Our physical building is located in Riverwoods, but we also provide programming in the area schools and also in group homes. We serve youth, adults, seniors. Our youngest is around 13 years old and our oldest is over 80 years old. Last year, we served 450 individuals, and I do want to mention that on the application, it says 500, but it is 450. I did make an error there, so I wanted to let you know that. Maine Township has helped CEL serve over 20 individuals who reside in the township. This is about 6,000 program hours. We have an extensive financial assistance program, and last year, 9 Maine Township families received $6,300 in financial support so that their loved ones would be able to come to our programs. We have 4 township residents who are in our Reach Day program, which is our largest program, Monday through Friday, 10 to 4 p.m. And then we have township representation in almost every single afternoon, evening, and weekend program. I now want to just share a little bit about how our programming has changed over the last 6 months. So following the recommendations, we did close our building on March 13th. And about a week later, our program staff were fantastic and were able to put together a virtual-based program between March and June of 2020. Then on July 6th, when we were allowed to, we did open our doors to smaller groups while continuing to provide virtual programs. And I'm excited to say that today we are able to do both. We have in-person and we have virtual programs going. On a daily basis, obviously it looks very different. We only have about 8 to 10 individuals that are in in-person programs. We also have started a new program. We were noticing that there were some challenges that families were facing during the pandemic. We started a micro school to assist with e-learning, homework help, supplemental enrichment activities, and after-school care at our building in Riverwoods. This is not only helping our families, but more importantly, providing the members with support they need to continue learning and building their social skills. For our in-person programs, we do have requirements to wear masks, maintain social distancing with prompting, good health hygiene, and limiting group sizes. When someone does enter our facility or building, there is a screen check that someone would go through every time they come into the building. For our virtual programs, we started a technology lending program for individuals and families who may need computers or equipment to help them be part of our virtual programs. Over the past months, we also had some challenges. Due to the guidelines, we are about 25 to 30% of program capacity for our in-program or in-person programs. We are slowly increasing this, but obviously this is we're trying to stay within guidelines, and we're really just doing the best we can for our members to make sure our members and staff are safe. We are also seeing that some members are unable to come back to programming at this time. Some members may be from agencies or group homes and are under different guidelines, and so therefore they're not able to come back to CEL at this time. Others might be from families and they're just not comfortable being part of something outside of their home environment at this time. The great news with both of those scenarios is that we have virtual programming and that those members are able to be part of that virtual platform at this time. For, for the first time in our 50+ year history, we unfortunately had to lay off some staff, reduce hours, and retain a smaller team just to ensure our financial security and stability through this pandemic. It's been tough for everybody. From our budget perspective, our organizational budget is going to be evaluated on a monthly basis to make sure that we're financially healthy, and we want to make sure that we're doing the best for our members and families. We do receive a small percentage of state and federal funding, which includes township grants and fee for service contract that we have with the Department of Rehabilitation Services for our employment program, which started this year. Otherwise, about 70% of our organizational budget is raised through private donations, whether it's grants, individual donors, special events, things like that. This fiscal year, our fundraiser efforts will continue as normal. I'm going to say normal as we hope to see. We have our annual appeals, our individual donors, grants, and our special events. We have had one virtual event that took place on June 30th, so that ended our last fiscal year. And we had our annual golf outing last week, and that was about 2 months after we typically host that event. And both events brought in about half of what they normally do. Before I end today, I just want to share a few quick stories about how Maine Township has been helping the Center for Enriched Living. Because of these tough times and so much uncertainty about the future, we are really focusing on our mission, which is to include, achieve, and enjoy. And here are just a few examples of CEL's impact. In our employment program, Patricia learned how to advocate for herself at her new job. After being furloughed, she asked her boss if COVID safety measures were put in place. He reassured her that they were, and now she's back to work. With the election coming up, Sean and Rachel were excited to learn how to register to vote in their current events class. Evan is so happy to be back in the building with his Reach friends. And in the months of remote learning, Becky achieved greater self-confidence. Where once she wouldn't dance in front of others, she now dances with great joy. We are looking forward to the day that we can welcome all members and families back into the building. Thank you so much for having me here tonight, and thank you for supporting CEL and our individuals with intellectual disabilities. And I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Thank you, Karen. Could you tell me what the correction was that you made that I couldn't quite say? Did you say you made a correction?
So the total number of members, so on that first page, it says 500 and it should be 450.
Oh, okay.
We have one question. How do township residents get to Riverwoods? Is there transportation involved or they're on their own?
So it's a little bit of a mix. We have families that bring them independently, and we also have pickup points throughout the Chicagoland area. So the families would drive to one pickup point, and we would drive them then from that pickup point to CEL in Riverwoods.
Did you say, Karen, that the furloughed people had all come back, or is that still?
So right now, the furloughed individuals were laid off. We have been able to bring back 2 individuals back into programs. And our hope is that we will be able to bring back everybody, but unfortunately, there's so many unknowns at this point.
It's really tough.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Quick question.
Thanks, Karen.
For the pickup points, do you charge for the transportation?
So transportation is an additional fee. However, we have an extensive financial assistance program. So families that are unable to pay those fees, we work with the families to make sure that we can accommodate them.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Questions? No? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Okay, bye, Karen.
Bye, Karen.
You too. Bye-bye.
And next we have Wings and Letitia, is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's been quite a year, right? It was funny, last year when I first met you, it was my first year, and now this year we're meeting under different circumstances. Wings has had a very busy year, and very similar to the presenter before me, I will kind of go into a little bit about everything that we've done as an agency and specific to Maine Township residents. And then I'll kind of go into how COVID has changed our lives. You know, for the past 35 years, Wings has stayed true to its mission to make sure that we provide housing, integrated services, education, and advocacy to end domestic violence. Over this past year, as you might have seen through the application, Maine Township residents, looks like they had quite a difficult year. We served 12,062 nights of shelter between our emergency safe house and our transitional housing program. And then just to kind of expand on that, any resident that enters into our safe house, as you may or may not know, may stay in our safe house for up to 90 days. As they get closer, you know, of course, they work hand in hand with our case management, which is a family advocate and also a house advocate. They work one-on-one through advocacy of housing and education and legal and immigration issues that all might have, and making sure that they have that housing plan once they leave the safe house. They are able to then transition into our transitional housing program where they can stay for an additional 2 years. That additional 2 years is so critical because it allows that family, and usually a family for Wings has been an average size of 4 to 5. So it's usually the parent plus their children, usually a family of 5, an additional 2 years to really stabilize themselves emotionally, physically, financially, educationally, everything. And we do that with all of our comprehensive services with your support. Through this past year, Wings provided the 49 residents of Maine Township, like I said, 12,000 nights of shelter and just over 1,600 hours of counseling. Each of those costs break down to about $92 for emergency shelter, which is all inclusive. That includes the shelter itself, includes the staff time, includes the food, the clothing, the over-the-counter medicines, anything that the client might need. That is everything that they're going to receive at the safe house. Transitional housing is a little less, just because it's transitional housing, and so although we supplement them with their rental costs, it just costs, you know, pretty much the time for the staff, which is $35 an hour or $35 a day. And then our counseling, we're able to keep at a really modest level at $32 an hour. And we're able to keep that so low because we maximize interns at master's levels. And so it's been quite a year, like I said. Wings is definitely no different than any other agency, and I can't, you know, paint the picture that we are any different, but COVID has played such an impact on women and families that are experiencing domestic violence, because the sheltering in place, although it kept everyone safe from the, being diagnosed and being exposed to COVID, it kept them sheltering in place with a loaded weapon, if you will. And I don't mean to make that sound as dramatic as it does, but that is the truth. They weren't able to access, their children weren't accessing school. They weren't able to access employment if they did have employment. They weren't able to access their friends, their family, as maybe they had in the past when something went awry. So that was definitely a trigger. COVID-19 also compounded all of the other issues that we're all familiar with, creating housing instability, food insecurity, unemployment, underemployment on both parental units. So it just created, and then added, of course, childcare, maybe being taken away, the children having school at home, and so forth. And so it's just really played such a play into our victims' lives. And through that, Wings has, since March 21st, so going back to March, the onset of COVID, Wings took a very precautionary step. Our CEO, Rebecca Darr, made sure that we never closed. None of our shelters, none of our housing units, none of our services ever stopped. I really want to make sure that that message comes through, because although we've had to scale back due to making sure that we are following CDC and CDPH guidelines, none of our services or housing units have closed. So back in March, we moved the whole safe house to a local hotel at a much reduced rate, so that we could make sure that the staff were safe, the clients were safe, but we're still receiving all of the services they needed. All of those supportive services that I mentioned were all delivered to them 1 to 2 twice a day to each family. We were fortunate enough to receive a technology grant through ICEJA, so that we can make sure that we had tablets and cell phones and laptops, so that the teletherapy could continue, children could continue going to school and not falling behind in grades or in classes, and just so that the victims didn't feel that much more pulled away from their community, if you will. And so since then, sorry, these things always get me so nervous. Wings has continued to do so. I wanted to mention that recently Wings has, just in order to make sure that we are abiding by all of these CDC and guidelines, Wings was fortunate enough again to receive a DHS grant through ESG, the Emergency Supplemental Grant, so that we can serve another almost 35 families coming up, because we know that we have to maintain the 6 feet distance. The rooms are all individualized versus before they might have been shared at the safe house. And so that's coming into effect as of now. As with everybody else, our fundraising has definitely taken a hit. We had 2 spring fundraisers that we have had to postpone until next spring. This past Saturday, the 3rd, we held our first virtual fundraiser. I know we haven't hit the mark yet, but I know that the donations are still coming through. And then our next fundraiser, which is also our 2nd largest fundraiser, Sweet Home Chicago, is going to be held virtually as well. May I take any questions at this time?
I have
Thank
a
you
couple.
for your presentation.
Oh, go ahead, Dana.
Yeah.
Oh, I just had a quick question. Did you do daily temperature checks of the families that were there? And did you ever have anyone that?
Yes, we do. We have taken all of the precautions necessary within the facility, and also while at the hotels. They do the temperature checks. Everything is wiped down. Masks are required. There are markings within the safe house on the floor to make sure that people know where 6 feet is. We've staggered meal times to make sure that families can have their meals, but safely, They have designated meal spaces so that they know that, the Smith family can only eat at this table and the Jones family can only eat at this table. So yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Thank you.
Trustee Carabota?
No questions. I did appreciate your packet, but your presentation was very thorough. Thank you.
I just had a couple. You had mentioned that you have the partners with the different hospitals. Anything with Lutheran General?
No, not at this time.
Okay. What's the reason for that? I'm just curious.
I would have to definitely get back to you on that. I don't know if it has to do, I generally don't, but I would be happy to get you that answer, Susan.
Okay.
I know that the partners that we have, we are on call with them 24/7 for bedside service, along with training their physicians and their nurses so that they can understand and recognize domestic violence victims a little quicker. And if I may, Dana, I also want to let you know that I don't think I answered this part of your question, that to date, knock on wood, that we have not had one client since the onset of COVID tested positive.
Awesome. Good. Glad to hear that.
That's fantastic. And it's
Thank you.
amazing.
That is good.
Open the whole time. And it's amazing you have that safe house, relationship with did you say can that continue with the hotel or the space that you're using?
Yes, actually, with the new ESG grant that we've received, that is the way we've coordinated it. So that we're going to serve these additional 70 individuals, approximately 25 to 30 families. We're going to serve them entirely out of the hotels. And we were able to, I was impressed to know the rate that we were able to negotiate it. So a 2-bedroom, I think that 2-bedroom that can serve obviously a family of like maybe 3 or 4 individuals, I think we secured it at like, I want to say $55 or $60 per night.
Oh,
That's great.
So we tried to be very vigilant about that cost.
Well, I'm impressed that you have, it looks like you have a lot of people helping you too. Where did I see 2,600 volunteer hours? So you're getting other people, but just to know that you're providing shelter in the community through our township of 12,000 nights a year and 1,600 counseling hours is pretty amazing. So
yeah, I think when I presented last year that the numbers weren't quite as steep. So I wish that was a different story. However, it is what it is. We're not going to stop doing what we do. We're obviously very passionate and very, we're driven into make sure that we serve every resident of Maine Township. And we do. And I know that, this amount that I've requested this year is double. I
was just going to mention that you're asking 10,000 and it looks like that's what you had requested before.
Yes, ma'am. I have requested $10,000, which again, I know is 50, it's twice as much as what we've been receiving for the past 2 years. But as you can see in the application, I think I did the math. It is just a very small percentage of what our costs are to make sure that we can provide the full services to the residents. And that's not to say that if we still, receive the same amount, or if we're still funded at the same amount, that the services will be any less. We'll find it, those services and funds from operations or other funders, but that would just continue to help.
Well, thank you, Letitia.
My pleasure. Thank you again for your
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Next, we're going to move on to the Kenneth Young Center, which I think last year was the first year that we had funding for that. The request this year is for $25,000. And is it Kelsey or Linda, Linda Springer that is here with us, right?
And Kristen Coffey.
There, let me get myself situated here. Everyone's in their abode this year. Hi, I'm Linda Springer, and I am the Senior Clinical Director at Kenneth Young Center. Joining me tonight is my colleague, Kristen Coffey. So she should be
here.
There you are.
Hi, everyone.
Wow.
I'm the manager of the Mobile Crisis Response Team at Kenneth Young.
So thank you for having us. Kenneth Young Center is a community mental health center that offers a broad range of services. I will share with you tonight information specifically about the behavioral health services in that division. We provide behavioral health services, adults, the outpatient individual
I think we're losing you a little bit there,
family
Linda.
therapy.
Yeah.
Can you repeat? Can you, you were kind of going in and out.
Linda, maybe try,
Okay.
can you turn off your camera since that might help your bandwidth?
Yeah,
So we can get
hang
the
on.
audio.
Sorry. Okay, is this better?
Yeah, much.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have health services. Kenneth Young provides behavioral health services to both children, adolescents, and adults.
Linda, I think we're kind of
Yeah.
losing you.
Services
I'm
for
wondering,
children.
Trustee Sweeney, if we could pass on this and go to the next one, we have Linda reboot again.
Oh, or yeah, or Kristen, can you give your part and then come back? That's a good idea. Maybe, we could start with Kristen and Linda try to, I don't know
Reboot.
if it's another room or.
So with Linda really was saying the majority of it to help fill in. What I'm thinking maybe is if Linda has any of, I know she has it written out, she can always send it to me and I can read it instead. If it seems like you guys, my audio is good, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So I can, if you guys want to move on, that's fine with me. And then I'll text with Linda and we'll have her send everything.
Okay, all right.
Sounds
I
okay.
just-
Is
Okay,
that,
I'm wondering, can you hear me now?
yes.
Okay,
There we go.
okay, I switched my internet to my puck, so let's try this. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, am I
Good.
clear now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Okay.
That's like
all right.
magic. What did you switch it to?
Well-
Your puck?
So we have the house internet, but there's so many of us on it that it's just the bandwidth just gets stretched. So work got me a puck. I don't know what they call it. Kristen, what do they call it? It's like
What it is.
well, it's this.
Let's rock and roll though. Let's see if we can
Here we
rock
go.
and roll.
Okay, so we are a community mental health center, and we provide older adult prevention and behavioral health services. So I'm going to talk to you tonight about the behavioral health services. Outpatient services for children include individual therapy, family therapy, group therapy, mentoring, case management, intensive outpatient for substance abuse, psychiatric services with a certified child psychiatrist, and mobile crisis response services for at-risk youth. Kenneth Young Center holds a contract with HFS and is the provider in Maine Township that responds to 100% of all of the crisis calls that come through the CARES line. We are providing crisis assessment, intervention, and placement when necessary to youth that live in your community. Kenneth Young Center also then provides the aftercare to these high-risk youth. The outpatient services for adults include individual, couple, family, and group counseling, case management, adult mentoring, psychosocial rehab, employment services, transitional living program, a drop-in center that's open 364 days a year, adult psychiatric services provided by a full-time adult psychiatrist and also a full-time psychiatric APN, intensive outpatient substance abuse services, and to our highest need clients, we provide CST, which is Community Support Team, and ACT, Assertive Community Support Team. Last year, Kenneth Young Center served 437 Maine Township clients in our outpatient behavioral programs. In FY19, MCR, Mobile Crisis Response, assessed 273 Maine Township clients, and in FY20, that number jumped to 307. We come tonight asking for Maine Township support in the amount of $25,000 for our outpatient behavioral health and MCR services, which is a small portion of the cost KYC incurs to provide care to Maine Township clients. It costs Kenneth Young Center $126 per service hour for outpatient therapy services. Last year, Kenneth Young Center offered 2,754 hours of outpatient treatment to Maine Township residents, which overall cost KYC $347,000 for outpatient treatment of the current clients we see. It costs Kenneth Young Center $142 a service hour for the mobile crisis response services. Last year, Kenneth Young Center provided 1,266 hours of mobile crisis response and after-hour services to Maine Township residents, which overall cost KYC $179,772. KYC would like to utilize these proposed dollars to support the MCR programming we have by offsetting travel costs, increasing direct client assistance, and hiring additional staff to provide group counseling and other aftercare services in a convenient location for the Maine Township clients. The dollars would also help offset costs to providing the wide array of services that the 437 Maine Township clients are receiving at this time. Currently, Maine Township children can access all services if they are referred through MCR. Within the last year, Kenneth Young Center has had to slow our volume and temporarily refer adult Maine Township clients out. However, we see that there is a desire for Maine Township clients to access Kenneth Young services. We would very much like to provide these services, and your dollars would allow us to open up our door to all Maine Township clients for all services. So we thank you for the consideration in being supporters and partners of Kenneth Young Center. And sorry for my glitchy internet, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Very well. Very good.
Question. I don't know why I'm missing page 3 and 4. Am I the only person that's missing page 3 and 4? So some of those numbers I didn't see, and I thought maybe it was in that. So I will have to get that if this is just something.
Yeah, I can get that. I can get that to you, Susan. I've got them.
Okay. And then question number 18 doesn't have an answer, yes or no, to it. It's just certifying that your organization will indemnify and hold harmless Maine Township and its property officers. I would assume that's a yes.
That's a yes, yeah.
Okay.
We can refill that out and send it back to you.
That would be very good.
Do you need that to be in? Okay, I'll definitely do that.
Anybody have any questions? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Kristen.
Next
Thank you, you too.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is Little City Foundation. They haven't come to us before. They are requesting $6,085. And I believe we're being joined by, got to get my gallery view here. Is it Sean or?
It's Tiana Brazali.
I'm sorry, I can't see. Oh, there you are. Tiana. Okay, there you are. Okay, great. Thank you,
Hello.
Tiana. Welcome.
Go ahead.
Good evening.
You are a new
everyone.
agency requesting for the first time.
We are, yes. So thank you so much for having us, and I appreciate the last minute change. Julie Franchino actually had another Zoom call tonight, so that's our new world. We have opposing Zoom calls, so thank you for letting me stand in for her. My name is Tiana Brazali. I'm the Director of Grants at Little City Foundation, and I work with Julie Franchino as a two-person grants department. And you're correct, Susan, this is our first time applying for funding at Maine Township. However, Little City, as you know from our application is spread across the greater Chicagoland area. We have participants that we serve in the city of Chicago, as well as in Cook, Lake, and DuPage counties. So we have quite a broad footprint. As you know from the application, we serve people, both children and adults, with developmental and intellectual disabilities in a variety of programs, including the home and community-based services and Employment First program, as well as a variety of other programs. We have 2 large community day services programs, one in Waukegan and the other in Schaumburg. As you might imagine, those programs have been greatly impacted by the global pandemic. And then we also have residential programs for both children and adults throughout the Chicagoland area, including our large campus in Palatine, where we have a children's group home program, a therapeutic day school for children, and some intermittent and other residential programs for adults who require more limited or intermittent supports. So for this opportunity, we have received funding historically from many townships where we have our programming. So this year we decided, as we were looking at where we have people served who have not been receiving any township funding, we came upon Maine Township. So that was Julie doing some research. So with our Maine Township participants, we serve people with our Employment First program, as well as our home and community based services. As you, I'm sure, are aware, oftentimes people with developmental disabilities have very, very high rates of unemployment. So with Employment First, the goal there is that every person who wants to work should be able to find community-based employment. Historically, people with developmental disabilities in day services, it used to be called developmental training. You might have heard the term sheltered workshop that was used in the past. Those various concepts that were the norm with sub-minimum wage historically are no longer, not only no longer culturally accepted in our society, but they're also becoming the types of programs that are no longer being funded by the state of Illinois. So these Employment First programs allow people with disabilities to prepare for employment. That's called the pre-vocational period, but then also receive all the supports they need to get out there in the community, learn how to apply for jobs, and then once hired, have a support system in place where they actually, depending on their needs, might have a person go to the workplace with them and help them get up to speed and get up and running and become successful to retain that employment. With home and community-based services, it's a wide variety of services that are customized to each person and their family. Sometimes the person goes out to support the person directly, and other times the family directly to help them learn how to care for their loved one. And then sometimes they come together as a group to help them access services, access benefits, or access adaptive equipment. So for folks who have more limited resources, they may not have good internet at home or a computer, the home and community-based services goes into the home and helps them access the various types of services that are available. The state of Illinois can be notoriously challenging for families to find the services they need for their loved one with a disability. And these services provided by Little City can help bridge that gap. So that's a little bit about what we're doing. I know in the application it talks about, you know, do we offer our services or market our services? In our world, it's a little bit more difficult because the ISCs, the coordinated service agencies in the state of Illinois actually bring the families to us. However, we do have a process in place whereby if a person learns of Little City and reaches out to us, we can help connect them to those coordinated service agencies so that we can try to get the services they need provided by Little City if we are in fact their provider of choice.
Are you finished? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. You have, it looks like we have 7 Maine Township clients that were served last year.
That's right.
And your request is for $6,000. So I'm just wondering how you arrived, or $6,085 at that amount.
Yes, and so I believe what Julie did is she took the entire budget and took a percentage. I think, and I'm sorry, I don't have that number written down. I believe she...
Of the $38 million budget?
I think she took the entire budget of the people being served, and then I think I believe she took 10% of the cost, if I'm not mistaken. But I can actually text her that question if you, I remember her asking me about that because we just weren't sure. She kind of used her experience with other township budgets of what they might consider supporting. So I believe she took 10% of the costs, the budgeted costs to serve those participants.
Okay, thank you.
That amount.
I think the thing that's just the most frustrating to me, thinking about the need for, serving this community with intellectual and developmental disabilities, is that the actual, state system called the Prioritization of Urgency of Need for Services database.
Yes.
The typical wait is years to receive service. Years.
It is.
I mean, you guys have, been around for a while stepping in on this, but it's just so frustrating.
Yeah, what tends to happen historically, I've worked in this field for nearly 10 years. Prior to Little City, I had worked at Ray Graham Association. Is what often happens is that families will have an emergency need because of a deceased parent or some type of emergency will happen. And those are the people who get up on the list, on the PUNS list to receive services. And people with less urgent needs can often wait.
When they probably still can't, but they still have needs, but
they still have needs, yes.
So do you expect, last question I have is just, do you expect, last year you raised the 2.7 million to support your agency's operations? And a lot of that came from the single donor. You raised 2,300,000. So that, I assume, was like a one-time thing. Do you still expect to raise that kind of money?
In March, I think I would have given a different answer because I think it was just a really scary time. But I think that since the pandemic began, a lot of shifting has happened in how we are going to make up that funding gap. As I'm sure you've seen, there are virtual events going on, even some in-person events. They had to postpone our golf outing, but then they were able to reschedule it as a fundraising event that turned out to be quite successful. So I believe there is no change in the amount of funding they hope to raise to create the bridge across that funding gap. How they do it will change for things, for example, such as virtual events and different types of appeals that will, meet people where they are, literally where they are at home in some cases versus other types of fundraising that has happened in the past.
Yeah, well, I mean, that one donor to donate 2.3 million in a year is a lot. That's why I was curious.
Oh, yeah, I'm wondering how she worded that because that was actually above and beyond.
Was 2.743 million, and then there was one real estate donation. So
there was a real estate donation, yeah.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I have a quick one. In looking over the packet, and we have 7 people that were being served. We're looking, and I see the amount that you're seeking. What jumps out at me though, and just to explain it, the position of executive director, the executive director is paid $266,000 a year. I see the other 4 top positions. They're each at about $145,000 a year. The executive director, $266,000. I tend to look at these applications based on need. And could you maybe elaborate a little bit more on, is that a competitive salary in order to keep your executive director Yeah, is that a competitive, the basis for that salary?
Yeah, that's a common question, and the way I understand that is, well, our executive director, Sean Jeffers, is in his 19th year. Oftentimes an executive director's salary, as well as the other folks in the C-suite, the chief human resources, chief development, chief financial officer, those positions are typically determined by the board that does a salary search as well as a talent search. And it's also then based on our budget. So Little City does have a larger budget of this year, I believe the budget is $38 million. And so and we also have a very large organization. We have 515 staff, I believe, right now. So I believe that that's determined by the board of directors to retain, the talent needed to run such a large organization.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tiana.
Oh,
I
Austin?
really appreciate
Austin, sorry.
Austin.
Yeah, I just have two quick questions. I know, as Susan pointed out, and I could read it in your packet as well, it could take years to get the services in Illinois, and that you may have a waiting list. I was wondering if you happen to know if any other Maine Township residents are currently going through the process, or if you have any Maine Township residents on your waiting list.
There are, yeah, in our case, we don't really have a waiting list. When the ISC comes to us, it's typically the family that is seeking services that learns from us what we can offer the family. And then that service coordination agency will typically show them what other organizations can do for them, and then they select us. So it's more like a sort of like a dating game. We reach out to them when we hear from the ISD, we ask what they're looking for. We might do a home visit. We might do a sample class if it's a person who wants to get a job. They might do a house visit if they're looking for residential services, that type of thing. And then that family might be doing those same activities with another organization. And then based on the funding they have, they can choose which organization is best suited to them. So right now, we don't really think of it as us having a waiting list. Like if a person comes to us and says, we're ready to go, get us services, we will find a way to serve them.
All right, I was curious. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tiana.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Nice to meet
Thank you.
Be
you.
well.
Okay, we're moving on next, and we've got Miracle House. I think, Branka, are you with us from Miracle House, or I'm trying.
Me too.
Sandy Anderson is from Miracle House. She's been joining the meeting, but then
Oh, I
leaving
didn't see her, so I was
back.
wondering. Okay.
So we're trying to reach her on the phone to try to
Oh.
connect her another way.
Maybe
Okay,
do-
well,
A couple times, but then she disappeared again.
we're a few minutes early, so
do you want to move on
maybe
to
want a bathroom
NW?
break or something, anybody?
How about we go to Northwest Center?
I don't know if anyone's here.
We don't have anybody else here yet.
Yeah,
So we'll call Sandy and try to get her connected. Oh, here, she's in the waiting room. Let me admit
Cool.
her again and see if this works.
there she is.
Third time's a charm, hopefully. Sandy, can you hear us? Sandy? Sandy, can you hear us? If you can hear me, I'm going to try to call you.
There he is. Hey, Austin, look, he looks good.
Thought I'd fill the void.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. He looks very comfortable. Like he's ready to present.
Yeah, he has a lot of thoughts. He has a lot of thoughts.
Aisha, where's your cat?
Where's your cat, Dave?
Yeah, I know. Nobody's around.
We'll take a break to display everyone's pets. We'll have a pet break.
That's it.
We got the debate going on starting in a few
Oh,
minutes here, right?
That's right, 8 o'clock,
minutes.
right?
Yeah. Get them over my shoulder. But we're a little bit ahead, so we've got, Miracle House and Northwest Casa and Orchard. So maybe we can finish up a few minutes early.
Hopefully. Yeah, we asked everyone to get here 20 minutes early, so hopefully Northwest Casa should be arriving in 2 minutes if they're on time or early. We'll keep trying to reach Sandy. Veronica, do you have another number for her other than the number that's listed on the application?
Give me 1 second. Let me pull up what I have.
Okay. I dialed the 1208 number.
Oh, man. The 847-803.
No.
Oh.
The one I dialed in 1208.
No, this one is,
All right. Try to call her. Can you try to call her on that number?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, she's in the waiting room again. Let's try again.
Okay, so you're all set.
Oh, there we go. Hi, Sandy. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Hi, Sandy.
All right.
Hi.
How are
Took
you?
me a while
Sure,
because
Cal,
it
take
kept
it away.
going. It was going to a screen I didn't recognize.
Okay. Well, welcome back. I know we've been funding you for several years now, and I know you got a good story to tell as you did last year. Your request this year is for 2021 is $5,500. So tell us a little bit about what's going on.
What's going on is pretty much, COVID has hit us pretty bad, just like many other places. We've been running in a deficit for a few years, and we finally got a fundraising chairperson.
Hello.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And we have
Yes.
a fundraiser that has an MBA in marketing. And so, but then COVID hit. So we've been pretty bad. We had to close down for 4 months. We had one resident at the time of the lockdown, and we did allow her to stay. She didn't have a job at the time, but she just came in like 2 days earlier. So she's lived with us 4 months we didn't charge her rent. She just helped out wherever she could. And a lot of our fundraisers were canceled because of this. We did get a few in. We got, a virtual fundraiser that we did raise $2,000 on. We did a garage sale, which was amazing. It brought in $2,200, and we were selling everything at $1.
Wow.
Yeah. And we did a fall fest just last weekend.
Wow.
And we got $880 there, mostly because we did a 50-50. And right now we're thinking our gala in February may still have to be canceled because we're not sure we can guarantee their quota. And, when you look at it financially, we're not even sure that it's financially good for us to do. So we are going to maybe do like at the time of the gala, we might do a virtual 50-50. and see if that would help us out a little bit. We've been pretty much, just shut down, or we opened July 1st for residents and for meetings, because we had no meetings either at the time. So we weren't bringing in any revenue from meetings or, the other things that, except for the kind people that still sent us money just because they knew that we were in the same circumstances, shut down and just living until we could open up again. So everything that we've been doing or need to do is only on an emergency maintenance level. And this year so far, all we needed was like a thermostat and some minor plumbing to be done. Otherwise, it's not too bad. We just need help, and hoping that we are still qualified to get some assistance from you, because I don't know if we can do, how much longer we can do it. They say our deficit partially is, I forgot what she says, because they have to subtract or add stuff in. And it's like, okay, I don't understand the finances very well. Even though I worked in finance for 30 years, I don't understand theirs. And so that's pretty much all I have about it,
So how many residents do you expect?
Well, we're hoping to get a full house again eventually. Right now we had the one that's been there since the lockdown. And we just recently, actually yesterday, we had a second one come in. And we do have 2 on the waiting list. I think they're still in rehab. So we're hoping that we can pull some people in finally.
I have a question.
Sure.
Sandy, first of all, we love this organization. I think this is definitely one of my favorites. But I'm just wondering why last year you requested $6,000 and this year you reduced it to $5,500.
I think it was just, I was kind of looking at it as, we need new windows in the kitchen. And I think I just got the number in my head for the windows and didn't think past that. And because we got a quote on the windows and they're $5,000. So that's, I guess that's where it came from. And I just, I don't always want to ask for too much, because we've got to do a lot on our own too. We're not funded by, government or anything. We're just funded by grants and personal donations. And that's, I guess, how we've always run. And so I try to keep it that way. I just don't know why I didn't ask for more. I guess I think I'm going to be turned down.
Yeah, but
Okay. Question.
Richard,
all right, that was the only question I had.
Talk about operating expenses that we contribute to. Richard, are you there? What is the question number where we ask about, I just can't find it quickly enough.
If I can interpose with you a question while you're looking.
Oh.
Sure. I just want to commend you for the work that you do. I think it should be noted that you're showing as far as salaries, is it 2 managers or 1 manager?
There's 2 managers.
2 managers, and I'm showing at $13,104. What you're doing for the community is fantastic. There's a lot of giving here, and your attitude is absolutely the right one. I just say to keep up the good work, because it appears to me, even looking at the dollars that you have and the budget that you have, all of it basically goes to the benefit of those you're serving. And I just wanted to commend you for that.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Dave, I was going to comment on the same thing, because we talk about that every year, how low your salary is, and you only filled out, for that position.
Yeah, that's the only position. The
one
rest
that
of
does
it are
that.
volunteers.
2, 3, 4, so, 5.
All volunteers. There you go.
It's amazing. But just
2 residents are, one's retired, so it helps her out on her end, and the other one just wanted to do service, and so she was happy with the salary. So we went on.
Very good. Thank you, Sandy.
Okay,
you.
I found my question. Back to question 12, which you answered yes. One of the requirements that says, do you certify that the funds that you are requesting from Maine Township will be used for your organization's ordinary and necessary maintenance and operating expenses and not for any capital expenditures?
Right.
Okay, so that's not a capital expenditure.
No.
But you're talking about windows?
Windows, yes. But that's something that, you know, once we have money coming back in, it's something that we can look into and save for then down the way. It's not that we would use your money specifically for windows. We use your money for, you know, the salaries and the couple of women that come in that cannot pay until they get jobs. And
okay.
Yeah, the way I understood it is you just had windows on your mind and that price when you filled out the application.
Right.
And it just happened to end up on the application. Yeah, understandable.
Thank you, Sandy. Unless anyone has any further questions, I think we'll move along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You are
Sandy.
so welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next agency is Northwest CASA, Northwest Center Against Sexual Assault. And we are joined today by Rebecca. Thank you,
Yes.
Rebecca. And Rebecca is requesting for this 2021 request $2,000. So welcome.
Thank you. So go ahead and start.
You can, you may.
Okay. So as she said, my name is Rebecca Placencia, and I'm here representing Northwest Center Against Sexual Assault, or Northwest CASA for short. Northwest CASA works to facilitate the healing for survivors of sexual violence and eradicate sexual violence in our communities. We have 3 office locations, with our main office in Arlington Heights and 2 satellite offices, one in Evanston and one in McHenry. So to accomplish our mission, we offer 4 main services. We offer specialized counseling to survivors of all ages, including group counseling and yoga group therapy. The majority of that services is now being done virtually due to the pandemic, which I'm sure is a common theme with a lot of your agencies today. We also offer medical legal advocacy. With the advocates provide 24/7 support services at 12 area hospitals and 37 police departments. Medical advocacy has also been virtual, but we're beginning to transition back to in-person services. Legal advocacy has fluctuated at all 3 courthouses that we serve, and we've just kind of been following along with the courthouses and what they and what their guidance is and what their level of comfort is. Another service that we offer is our sexual assault prevention. So we offer age-appropriate programming in schools, colleges, and to the general public. Professional trainings are also available for our allied professionals. And then we also offer 24/7 crisis, a crisis hotline, which is the tried and true staple of Northwest CASA, which has been here since our inception since 1976. Maine Township supports and has supported for years Northwest CASA's counseling, advocacy, and 24/7 hotline program. Last year, Northwest CASA served 46 residents of Maine Township for medical legal advocacy and/or counseling. And also, just as a FYI, last year, Northwest CASA also provided prevention education to 3,400 students in District 63. Even though that's not a program that Maine Township funds, I like to let you guys know that we're also doing that work as well. So often our services that Maine Township supports are intertwined. And so to truly understand how these services operate in real life, I have a story to share today about an actual Maine Township resident and how both advocacy and counseling services impacted her family. So trigger warning that this does contain sexual violence, as this is the nature of our work. So for the sake of confidentiality, we will call her Carmen. Northwest CASA first met Carmen when responding to a medical advocacy hotline call at Lutheran General. Carmen had been taken to the ER by ambulance after calling 911. She had been caught by her father fooling around with her boyfriend, and she was only 17 years old. And in his rage, her own father proceeded to violently sexually assault her as a punishment for this perceived indiscretion. And not only had Carmen become a victim of her father that day, but her 8-year-old sister had heard the commotion and walked in to witness this horrific act of violence that her father was inflicting on the older sister. So going forward in this story, I will only refer to the father as the perpetrator, and we will no longer call him the father. Through forensic interviews and investigation, the state's attorney did charge the perpetrator and he was apprehended. And on that one day, Carmen endured the traumatic effects of sexual violence, the shock, hurt, and confusion of knowing your perpetrator, the invasiveness of a medical forensic exam and evidence collection kit, and the probing questions of the local police. It's exhausting. And because of the agreements with hospitals previously mentioned, a Northwest CASA medical advocate was able to respond on scene to guide Carmen through this overwhelming process. But the service did not stop there. As Carmen and her family navigated the court process, a Northwest CASA legal advocate was assigned to the case to become the point person regarding legal matters. Northwest CASA had a relationship with the Skokie Courthouse victim witness coordinator, and they often refer cases of this nature to us. Since the perpetrator helped to financially support the family, it was crucial income that was lost when he chose to commit this vicious act. And mom found herself alone, and she had to begin working 2 jobs to support herself and her daughters. She was struggling. She was struggling financially, she was struggling emotionally, and she was struggling to properly support her daughters. Mom was also extremely apprehensive and untrusting of any organization or institution, which included Northwest CASA. Our legal advocate was able to break through those barriers and gain trust with authenticity and reliability. And as the relationship deepened, she was able to connect the family to resources for food, school supplies, and immigration legal services. And as mom began to build trust, she finally allowed her daughters to begin coming in for counseling so they could begin their own journey of healing. Our Northwest CASA counselor provided individual therapy and back-to-back appointments on Saturdays to best accommodate the family's hectic schedule and limited resources. And after seeing the change within both Carmen and the younger sister, mom also allowed herself counseling services. So the entire family is now in back-to-back Saturday appointments, working towards their goals in relation to the trauma of sexual violence. And some of them are still in counseling to this day. But Carmen, she met her goals and exited therapy with a celebratory session, rejoicing her progress as she walked out to reclaim her world, armed with better coping skills to help carry her through. And in terms of the case, the perpetrator ended up taking a plea deal and getting 9 years in prison and has to register as a sex offender. One thing that was really important to Carmen that we were able to advocate for in the court was the institution of a lifetime restraining order on the perpetrator. Our Northwest CASA legal advocate also graciously accepted the significant task of reading the victim witness statement on behalf of the family at the sentencing hearing. It was important to the family that the statement be read in Spanish because you see, the perpetrator only spoke very little English and they wanted to make sure he understood every word completely and truly comprehended the grave impact he had on his family. So the statement was allowed to be read in Spanish and then translated to the judge. And it's only because we offer all services in English and Spanish that we could provide that. This is just one of the many examples at Northwest CASA where medical advocacy leads to legal advocacy, which then leads to counseling services. And all of those services are supported by Maine Township. These services can be combined or they can be used a la carte. So 24 hours a day and 7 days a year, Northwest CASA is there to answer that call, which is exactly why supporters like Maine Township are so crucial to ensuring that residents and people like Carmen and her family continue to have access to care. Thank you.
Wow, nothing tells it better than stories like that. Just makes it vivid.
I mean, I'm fortunate, right? Unfortunately.
Yes. Thank you for the work that you do to advocate for these victims. It's pretty devastating. Any questions? And by the way, I'm glad to see you have an agreement with all the Maine Township hospitals. So I guess what all does that entail? That's, you've got Lutheran.
Yes, we have Lutheran General, and then we have some of the North Shore system as well. And Lutheran General is actually, that's our highest volume hospital. But also because for Lutheran General, they're now accepting a lot of pediatric transfers because they have that pediatric ER, and then the nurses are much better equipped to handle pediatric sexual assault cases.
Yeah. I know we talked about this last year too. The VAWA prevention and the VOCA in your budget that you get, because that's a big chunk of it for revenue. That's federal funding, right?
Correct. And then it's passed through ICASA because we're a member, we're a part of the ICASA coalition. So there's 30 rape crisis centers across the state of Illinois. And then that funding is passed through ICASA to Northwest CASA.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Rebecca. Anybody else? Or we think we're covered? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You.
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Okay, and it looks like we've got Susan connected from Orchard Village. Is that right? Susan?
That's correct. Hi, good evening.
Great. Susan, I know this year you're requesting 5,000. Looked like last year you requested 10. And tell us what's going on.
Hi, well, good evening, and thanks for having me. And thank you for your ongoing support of Orchard Village. We're really appreciative. I think last year you're aware that we used it for our Abilities in Motion program, which was very successful, and we're really excited to be back again this year. Would you like me to, this is my first time presenting to Maine Township. I'm newer to Orchard Village. I've just been on board since February. I came on board at quite a time, that's for sure. And we've been kind of working through things with the pandemic and whatnot. But in any regard, would you like me to kind of do an overview of Orchard Village, or are you all familiar with it, or how would you like to approach that?
I think we are somewhat. I do want to ask a question because I think we went through this the year before, but your allocation for the money last year and the previous year, it says you were awarded money to replace the windows, but I thought that the
windows, I think, were the year before, and we did that project. And then last year in 2019, it was for our Abilities in Motion program, our therapeutic recreation program. That's as I understand it.
Okay. That was what the 660 was awarded for that.
Right. So it went to just a portion of that program. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
So would you?
I think just maybe a brief overview of what
Sure.
you're looking for to currently. I think we're aware of what you do somewhat, but feel free to comment as you wish.
Okay, great. Well, then you're well aware that one of our biggest programs at Orchard Village are residential services. So we provide services to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities of a very wide variety of challenges and abilities. We have 3 homes in the Maine Township area. In fact, I live in the Maine Township area, so they're very close to me, and they're very close to the Skokie area where our headquarters are. We have 10 homes altogether that are 24-hour supported, and as I said, 3 of them are in Maine Township. And we also support a number of other individuals that live in Maine Township, but that participate in either our vocational program, which is an employment-focused program. We also have a community integrated day program. We have some Maine Township residents there. And we provide home-based services to children and adults where a family may want some additional support with their loved one that has a developmental disability. So we go into the family home and provide supports there. So through all of those programs, we support Maine Township residents. This year, in particular with the pandemic, but in general, we have a nursing program. So we have a wonderful full-time registered nurse. It is a requirement to have 24/7 nursing supervision in the residences that we provide services in. However, the state of Illinois very dramatically underfunds the program. We only get funded for maybe about 20% of her salary, despite the unfunded mandate that we have for the state. So our nurse has been just instrumental, as you can imagine, during this pandemic. She has helped our residents and all the people supported to maintain health and wellness and safety program. She's been on call 24/7. In fact, in the 7 months I've been there, she's only taken one vacation. She's quite a dedicated and amazing employee. She provides staff training. In Illinois, in the residences that we provide, they're called Community Integrated Living Arrangements, or CILAs. I'm sure you have many types of group homes in Maine Township, not just our 3. I know Avenues and some of the other providers that you support. In the CILA homes, we are allowed by law when direct service professionals, we call them DSPs, our frontline workers, are trained by master nurse trainers, and ours is one that is approved by the state of Illinois to provide this training. They can help the residents self-administer medication and treatments. So we don't have to have nurses in all of the small group homes, which you can imagine, the state couldn't fund and we couldn't afford by any means, nor could we even find them, honestly, if we wanted to. So we have one nurse for all of our residents, and she trains the staff, so it's a train the trainer model. And so that's her primary responsibility, is to do staff training to keep our residents with the medications and the treatments and the healthcare that they need. She also provides, though, consultation to the other programs for health and wellness. She's a very experienced nurse and has been in the nursing field for a number of years, so she's a wonderful resource for us. In addition, this year, you can only imagine, and I'm sure you're hearing it, that the cost of the pandemic our costs have skyrocketed. In no time have we ever spent the type of money that we had on the PPE, masks and gloves and face shields and gowns. I mean, those weren't, obviously we always had gloves and things like that, but not all the other PPE that we go through just like wildfire. And also our medical supplies, things like thermometers and pulse oximeters. We take our resident and our staff's temperature on each shift and a couple of times a day for each resident. Also for those who participate in the day program, their temperatures are taken and they're screened. Our staff are specially trained now in all the signs of COVID, and they're ever vigilant watching that for a variety of reasons, and they report that to the nurse whenever there's any change in condition. So our costs have just skyrocketed in the medical area, and our costs for nursing, as I said, are completely underfunded. So that's basically what our ask is for the township, and we hope that it's a compelling one. So.
Thank you.
Oh, sure.
Anybody have any questions? I don't know if I don't have a gallery view here. Nobody? Okay, Susan, we appreciate it.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you for what you do.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you. All of you as well. Be well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, and I think that
Bye-bye.
concludes our second hearing. Did you say something? Sorry.
Just to adjourn?
Yes, I was going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second? Okay. All right. Thank you all.
Bye. Bye.
Special meeting next, I guess, right? The special meeting's next?
Next Wednesday, I think.
Next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Night.
Everybody.
Thank you.